Hello, book lovers. How you doing? I am Paul, and welcome to Common Touch of Fantasy. Today's book review is going to be a short book review. It is for Old Man's War by John Scalzi. It is a science fiction book. I actually listened to this book on audiobook. I did not read this. This is the first time I've listened to an entire audiobook. I just signed up for Audible over the holiday because of the promotion, and I'm getting into audiobooks. I have a lot of fantasy books, but I don't have a ton of sci-fi books. So I thought that with Audible, I will use that mostly for science fiction, and then read traditional books for fantasy, and go from there. Old Man's War by John Scalzi is a story about the elderly, and how when the elderly get old, they're allowed to sign up for the Colonial Defense Force. The Colonial Defense Force is a space military force that protects Earth's colonies on other planets. Our story follows John Perry, newly turned 75 years old, and he's willing to go into space. The elderly are told that the physical issues that they have on Earth will be corrected once they join the CDF. However, no one on Earth really knows what the CDF does, how they fix the elderly, and what the war even composes of. When John Perry joins the CDF, he meets other people that have no clue what's going on, and with their diverse personalities, they form a tight-knit group of friends. John Perry himself is more of a carefree character that just kind of goes with the flow, but he's also a naturally born leader. I'm not going to go into much more of the plot because I don't want to really spoil anything. The greatest strength of this book is the mystery element about the CDF and the space war and the other planets and the other intelligent species. The mystery of that is what makes this book amazing, and the more I talk about it, the less amazing it will be to the reader. So I recommend that you go into this book kind of blind, just kind of know what it's a little bit about, like I just said, and just go in and enjoy it. My favorite quote happens at the beginning of the book, and it is when John Perry is at the cemetery visiting his wife's grave. He says, "I miss my wife. It's easier to miss her at the cemetery, where she's never been anything but dead, than to miss her in all places where she was alive." See, why should you read Old Man's War? First, the narrator and main character, John Perry, is highly likable. He's just a fun character to read about and to see the world through his eyes. There's a lot of interesting concepts in this book. Even though I listened to this on audiobook, it was a pretty fast-paced book. I was through it in relatively no time. The prose flows naturally and easily. There's not a lot of descriptions or pomp and fluff in this book. It's really straight to the point. There are great interjecting scenes explaining the different technologies and different laws of physics and different things going on in the plot, but that's really about it. You should also read this because it is hilarious. It is one of the funniest books I've read. Imagine grumpy old men and the wit and the sarcasm that they have and put them in space, and you got kind of the same thing. I felt that the lightheartedness of this book was kind of similar to The Martian by Andy Weir, so if you like that book, you probably would like this book too. One reason why you might not like this book is if you want a more serious science fiction book. This is not your hard science fiction. There is not a lot of delicate and intelligent prose going on in this book. It is more an entertaining and fun read. The thing that stood out the most in this book is just unraveling the mystery of what the CDF is, what it composes of, and what happens to the elderly when they reach the CDF. This mystery is what drives the book forward, and please do not spoil anything for yourself by looking at other reviews or information about this book, because it really will take away from the enjoyment that you will have while reading this book. While reading this book, I had a lot of intellectual thoughts about what it is to be an individual, what makes up an individual. Is it the experiences? Is it the physical appearance? Is it the emotions? Who are you really? What makes up who you are? If you take away your experiences, are you the person that you've always been? If you are just only the appearance of yourself, like a clone, are you any less or more different than who you actually are? It's just a lot of different questions that is interesting to unravel in this book. I recommend this book to anyone that's looking for a good time reading a science fiction book. If you're looking for fun characters, a fun plot, and an interesting world, check this book out. I highly recommend it. I give it a 5 out of 5, and it was awesome. If you want more info about this book, check out my review on my website. Please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and this has been a review of Old Man's War by Scalzi.